What's good, America? It's your man, Big Flo, aka Big Flo, coming back to you with an episode for after a long rest off. It's been a while, kind of regrouping. Things have come up in the world that have slowed me down a little bit. But I had an opportunity to get my hands on a guest that I take pride in because he comes from the Naperville area. Wanted to get him on the show. It's been a little while since I could get on his schedule because now he's a celebrity. Now that he's grown up and left the roost. But the next guy, you guys will know, the local guys will know, but now I'm happy to say that nationally people will know. He was a freshman of the year, the MVCFC newcomer of the year, the MVFC player of the year, MVFC Hero Sports freshman of the year, freshman All-American, and MVC first team All-Conference. Now, that's a lot. That's why I'm chewing on it. And these consonants that they have going together in this conference name are a little bit annoying and a little tough for those that are visually challenged. But this guy grew up in Naperville. Watch him grow up. He's the pride of Naperville right now. Everybody put your hands together for Mark Gronowski. What's good, Mark?
How's it going?
Pretty good, man. I wish you guys could change your conference to something easier than MVFC. It doesn't roll off the way
it doesn't really roll off the tongue very nice.
But it is.
You could say it out the whole thing, but it's even probably longer.
Probably longer, and as people know who watch the show, I don't do a good job with reading these things off anyway. So much more of a conversationalist. So anyway, man, known you guys and your family since you were young. It's kind of crazy actually to see that you're already in college because I remember the days of youth football. So those of you guys who watched the show before have heard I coached the Naperville Patriots when I was a kid. He was kind of the other, what we used to say was the other team, was the Naperville Charger across town. But he was one of the many standouts that they had over there in that great program that was there. But his father was one of the coaches. So, we'd always talk about how do you try to steal a quarterback away from his dad? And it doesn't really work that well. So tell me, what was it like, man? So were you born and raised in Naperville, or you guys moved here?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Naperville. Started playing football back for the St. Rafes. If you know guys, with all the random teams. Yeah. And then eventually moved to the Chargers and playing with my dad all throughout, which really.
Okay, so I know you were kind of a multiple sport athlete. Sorry, we're getting some sort of echo. You hear an echo?
No, I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Maybe it's just me. So I got hit in the head a lot. So sometimes I hear things twice. So talk about kind of growing up in Naperville. Do you have brothers or sisters? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I got one brother. He has special needs, and then I have a sister who's old. Both of them are older than me.
Okay.
But yeah, growing up here, it's been awesome.
I said you started talking about you played multiple sports growing up. So what were you, like a 10-sport athlete? I know at some point, kid plays everything. You probably had some hockey in you, some lacrosse. Yeah. I think you were a curler, if I'm not mistaken.
No, not that. But yeah, we've been going till second grade or whatever. I mean, you played everything here. I mean, everyone did everything. So, but I really stuck with after second grade. So third grade stuck with just football, baseball, and basketball. So really kind of fell in love with those three.
Three's enough. We know there's only 2 seasons in Illinois, winter and hot. Right. So you got to figure out what you can kind of break it down. So you did those 3 sports. How long did you stay with all 3 sports? I think you played basketball at least all the way through high school, at least, right?
Yeah, I played basketball all the way through and then baseball all the way through. It sucked that our last season got canceled because of COVID and stuff because we had a really good team over at Niqua.
Mm-hmm. But shout out to Niqua, just won state in track.
Yeah, they did.
I don't know how.
That was awesome.
I don't remember you guys having fast guys over there, but I don't know. Something
yeah, we got a couple of good guys over there.
Because some people say they won track, and this is the second time they did it. But anyway, I digress. So, which one was your first love coming up? Was it football always the front runner, or did you like baseball and basketball just as much? Yeah,
it was always football. With baseball and basketball, they were always in the second place. Whatever season I was in, I started liking that one more. Mm-hmm. But yeah, football was all the way through. I mean, I just remember watching all the Sunday football games and all the Sunday night games, and really kind of just fall in love with the sport. And then my dad's just a big football junkie too, so I mean, he kind of pushed it on me a little bit too.
So talk about that. What was it like playing for your dad growing up? I know my son played for his dad, interesting to do that. Kind of a tough question to ask him. But what was it like for you? Because your dad's a big personality guy. I met him. He's one of those guys. If you meet Mr. Gronowski, he's the kind of guy that's across the room and you're like, who is that guy? Because you could tell he's talking a lot. He's got a crowd around him. He's got a lot to say. Everybody's listening. So what was it like having that be your father?
I mean, it wasn't too different just because, I mean, growing up, like, he's like your guy, like your role model. I mean, he's basically like your coach in life. And just going into football then, I mean, it was kind of weird because he was like the quarterback coach too, and like the offensive coordinator too. So, I mean, he was really the head coach of the team. But I mean, sometimes you got
and the hell, he ran the program at one point. So
yeah, he did. Yeah, he's still running it. But
yeah,
it's just like sometimes you get the comments like, oh, you're only like the quarterback because your dad is the head coach or whatever. But I mean, as you progress, I mean, it stopped kind of saying that. But it was kind of different because like he'd start wanting to talk about like the football at home and stuff like that, or even on the field. Like sometimes I wouldn't want to listen to him because it's like the kid dad battle sometimes, even when you're getting to teenager years.
Yeah.
So sometimes or then like when he finished coaching me, like I didn't really want to hear from him anymore because I feel like, oh, that's my old coach. Like I don't need to hear from like him anymore. Right. It's just kind of like a weird dynamic throughout the whole thing, but I'm kind of glad that it was like he was my coach because then he kind of knows me the best with my game and stuff.
Now you touched on a topic that that I think is a huge topic in the youth sports is, people think you're just the quarterback because your dad is the coach. So people like to call that daddy ball, right? So you hear that daddy ball thrown around. Personally, I think it gets thrown around way too much because there's not enough coaches to go around. First of all, they're good coaches. I think a lot of the youth football coaches suck. I hate to say that, but and a lot of the fathers that are out there are going to put a lot more love and care into it and spend their own money and do things that people who have no kids are not going to really think to do as often. So did it make you play with the chip on your shoulder? Did you hear about that? Or was it just more like roll off your back type noise?
Yeah, it was more roll off my back. Like I didn't really think too much of it. I just went out there and really just played and tried to just be me really out there.
And was your dad, what was his career? He was a quarterback growing up?
Yeah, he played over at Mount Carmel, and then from the 1980 state championship over there, and then went over to Drake University to play.
Oh, so you had to hear about that Mount Carmel stuff all your life. I know that got old, man. Mount Carmel Caravan did this. Mount Carmel Caravan. They were pretty good, though. I'm not going to lie. So you came out of an outstanding program, probably top 2 or 3 programs in the history of Illinois. I'd have to say, I'll take my hat out to Mount Carmel because we never had to play them. But once we avoided them. In high school one time, we got beat by a team that got destroyed by Mount Carmel. I felt like they saved us a week of practice. So, Mount Carmel was always a pretty good team there. So anyway, so you get to high school. You go to Neuqua Valley High School. Did you ever consider any of the Catholic schools, or was Neuqua always it?
Yeah, I was actually went on a visit to like Montini a couple times and was looking there. And then my dad was really pushing me to go on a visit to Mount Carmel because he wants me to go to like his alma mater and stuff like that.
All the way there?
Yeah, it's a far drive. I wasn't up for it. But I really liked how Neuqua was just so close, and then all my friends are going to Neuqua and stuff, so I really decided just to go to Neuqua. But I was just considering some other schools, but Neuqua was number 1.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, hit the school that you know the kids. You grew up with a tight group of kids. A lot of the guys on the Chargers end up going to Neuqua, or no?
Yeah, we had I think like 10 guys on the team.
That makes it good. That makes it good. You get to play with some of these guys since you were little. So you get to Neuqua now. You're not, and a lot of people listening to you from areas, people feel like, varsity quarterbacks, freshman year, 8th grade. Some people say 7th grade, they were the varsity quarterback. You don't take the job over right away. What year did you take over the reins as starting quarterback?
Junior year.
Junior year. Yeah. Junior year. So who was it your sophomore year? Who was the quarterback?
Jake Eskoff. He's at Wisconsin Whitewater now.
Okay, playing there. So, I mean, was that frustrating? I know you're a junior, and nowadays everybody wants to play right away. Was it frustrating to have to try to wait your turn, or did you just kind of trust the process?
I was kind of more just trusting the process because I always thought that I was planning on like my starting year would be my junior year, just because I wasn't really fully developed yet, and still needed to develop my mental game and really start to like read defenses and stuff like that. Like I wasn't ready my sophomore year. So, I mean, I got some reps on varsity like throughout the season. Like I'd always be practicing with them, but really junior year was the year that I was always expecting to start to play.
You know, that's real humble of you to say that and say that you felt to self-assess and know that you still had some cooking to do, because most of these young pups think that they're ready now. Like they think they're ready to go. But that quarterback position is a little bit different. You get out there on that field with those bullets flying. If you're not ready, baby, you know, it can be something, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's kind of like once you get in there, I mean, everything's moving faster. I mean, especially for your first couple starts and stuff. And just having that just like a year just to work with varsity a little bit kind of helped me like understand like the speed and the size difference of everyone.
But you were always a big 7-on-7 guy, or did you start doing that later in high school?
Yeah, I was always a big 7-on-7 guy. I was like with like the first or second season of Boom back in like 5th or 6th grade.
Okay.
There's a funny picture of like who's all in that group, and it's a good group.
How do you feel like that impacted you, and how do you feel like that helped you prepare for high school football?
I really think it like helps a lot, just like seeing defenses, reading guys, and just really kind of seeing the coverages without the lineman in front of you, I guess. And then kind of just that quick decision making, because you only have 4 seconds, and then usually in the pocket too, you only have max 4 seconds. So getting that quick decision making, really being decisive with every single read.
Now, being at the quarterback position, obviously the big thing people can say that you have no rush. Now it's 4 seconds, but there's no price to pay, right? You got to pay a big price. Although you never really you did the hitting as a quarterback. I watched you play. You didn't care too much if they sacked you or not. But at the end of the day, did you feel like that was a hard thing to click off and on when you got into the tackle game versus the 7-on-7, and now you've got, you know, pass rush coming, and sometimes you got to do a fake and all the different things like that? Did you feel like that was a big switch or no?
It wasn't like too much of a switch, but I felt like the first couple times it was like a little different. So like once you go from 7-on-7 season back to normal 11-on-11, it's like whoa, there's like some pressure now. Like you got to just like adjust your game a little bit. May have to like see through some windows, but that's not a huge adjustment, but there is one.
I guess the way I looked at it too is it's kind of a trade-off. You don't have a live pass rush, but the DBs don't know that it's pass every time too. So and they also can't hang you, put you in a headlock like they can in 7-on-7 to hold your receiver up or ride him out of bounds. So, you know, I look at 7-on-7 as its own kind of sport, but also really good complementary work for tackle football, but not a substitute by any stretch for it. You got to get out there and play with the bullets flying.
Yeah, I mean, I always think that like it's a big thing for receivers and corners and all those guys, just because I feel like it's a lot of just man coverage, just one-on-one matchups and stuff. But I mean, sometimes it does get crazy with guys just like throwing each other, holding each other in headlocks and stuff. But
I do think 7-on-7 is the worst for the DB out of all the people involved, because the receiver, you're never going to have a guy covering you that knows it's pass every single down. The quarterback, you're never going to throw against somebody who knows it's pass every single down. When you're a receiver, they can't touch you like that in regular football. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the DB probably has it the worst, because he's going to get into the season and start PIing people all the time and bang, I thought I could do this. I thought I could jam people all the way off the route 30 yards down the field with the ball in the air.
Yeah, but I was just thinking, I mean, I like how you said that it's like a kind of its own sport a little bit. And I kind of think that a little bit, but it does really resemble like in different situations and stuff. But I loved it. It was so much fun for me. And
so
it's great.
So you take over junior year as a quarterback at Nikwa. When did the recruiting start kind of popping off for you? Was that something that kind of through 7-on-7 started earlier, or did it after your junior year? When did you start seeing people calling you and showing interest?
I mean, I thought the recruiting process was like really slow throughout. I mean, I always saw a bunch of guys getting offers like really young and stuff, and just like other guys around me. But I thought it was really slow going into it. And then junior year, going like that whole summer, I started like talking to more people and getting some more interest. And then junior year, I went on a lot of like game day visits and stuff like that. But nobody was really like super interested and like all in with me. But that was the summer that I met South Dakota State guys. But those are like the most interested in me throughout. But it was probably more after my junior season that I started getting more interest, because I like got a playing year under my belt and stuff like that. So, and then as that, sorry, go ahead.
So you don't think as much. I know that the college coaches aren't allowed to go to the 7-on-7 game. So did you think that impacted your recruiting? 7-on-7 helped it, your recruiting, or do you think because again, if I think I'm not mistaken, but I don't think a college coach can go to a 7-on-7 tournament. I think those are kind of banned activities.
Yeah, like they're not allowed to. I mean, I wish they could, just because. I mean, that year I had such a good year at Boone. But
did you guys win? Did you win a national championship with Boone? I know they win one every day.
Played Cam Newton's team in the national championship and ended up beating them. So
that's not bad. That's not bad for your resume. That needs to be on your intro. Beat Cam Newton, and then was that the famous game where everybody was talking trash to Cam?
Yeah, it was.
See, that's the problem with America, and no one talks about the fact that Mark Gronowski beat the team. All they want to talk about is how somebody talked trash to Cam.
Exactly.
That's the only thing that gets out there. Come on, America, our morals are in the wrong place. We got to step up. We got to do it. So, but yeah, so you got to go do that, and was South Dakota State your first offer?
Yeah, I mean, actually, it wasn't really my first offer. I had a couple D2 offers before that, and then got offered by Valpo and Butler, but they're non-scholarship schools in the Pioneer Conference. So, but that was my first Division I offer.
When it came, what was your decision come down to, or was it kind of them all the way?
I mean, I really thought it was them all the way. I mean, the quarterback coach that I'm most closest with, like I met him junior year, and he wasn't the quarterback coach at the time. He was only the running back coach, and I really built a good relationship with him. And then once he got the quarterback job going into my senior year, like that spring, and he really invested in me, and then really wanted me to come out and stuff like that. And I really felt like that was the only school that was like really just like pushing me. Yeah.
Yeah. And I say that to people a lot of times, is like, love who loves you. You think you like a school because as children you dreamt. What was your dream school when you were a kid?
Wisconsin. That was my dream school.
Everybody has a dream school, and everyone wants to do that. Just like, I'm sure there was a girl that you liked in high school that was your dream date. I'm not going to ask you to put her out, give her all that airtime now. But, you have the dreams. You sit back, you think about it when you want to fake your Wisconsin quarterback, everybody. But then when the recruiting process starts and they start talking to you, that's when you really find out who loves you back. So you don't want to be chasing people out there. Boys, don't chase that girl that doesn't love you back. Go out there and talk to the girl that likes you too. So you find out South Dakota State there now was, it's I know it gets kind of brisk out there, whatever. Did you have any intimidations playing in the cold, or did you feel prepared because Chicago's cold as hell too?
Yeah, I was prepared. I mean, Chicago's cold as hell and windy and stuff. So at South Dakota State, it was pretty much not too much colder, but there's just a lot more snow out there.
Yeah,
we were lucky with we had a great indoor facility, so when it gets too cold out, like we don't
hope
play.
So.
Yeah, and we got if it gets under like 25 degrees, really, or 20 degrees, at least the offense goes inside. Feel bad for the defensive guys out there that have to stick around in the cold.
We'll be back when it's time to go live. There'll be freezing right there, popsicle. So, but that makes cold builds character. Anybody can play in 70-degree weather.
Right.
Can't do that. But only a real man can play when it's 57 degrees below zero. So I think you committed to them before your senior year, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. Just because I wasn't really getting much interest from other schools, or
why not?
Or like the schools that were showing interest, I wasn't really interested in it at all. But yeah, it was about almost like 2 years ago today, I think.
Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary, man. So then you go out, you have an awesome senior year. You get Naperville Player of the Year. You have an epic battle with East St. Louis. You get down, what was it, like 54 to 52?
50 to 48.
50-48. 50 to 48. I think the only problem is they should have played you on defense, because evidently you were the one lighting it up and doing whatever. But that's actually when I started to take more notice of you than that. I'm like, man, this dude is out there running through guys, breaking tackles, and doing whatever. In high school, it seemed like you ran the ball more than you even threw the ball. Was that a fair assessment?
I mean, yeah, I thought it was like pretty much similar. I mean, we only threw like 17, 18 times a game, if that. And then I usually ran about 15, 16 too. So
now, do you think that hurts you in the long run when it comes to, like, a lot of people are out here thinking about picking schools and where they want to go to high school and do whatever. And, I look at a quarterback like yourself, and we're going to get into your collegiate career, which is very exciting in a second here. But I mean, you threw 17 times a game. You feel, and they can't come to watch you throwing 7-on-7. Looking back, do you feel like things could not that I'm sure you're very excited where you're at, so I don't want to paint that picture, but you feel like things could have been different if you would have been in school that threw the ball 35, 40 times a game?
Yeah, I mean, I always feel like that is for like a lot of guys because I mean the quarterback position, I feel like more guys are interested in guys that can do or like be throwing all that time, like all 40 times a game and stuff, and putting up the yards because that's when you get like all the big stats, the big like many touchdowns in a season and stuff like that. But
again, I'm not here to dog Niqua, but like I look at a guy like yourself and what you're doing in college. I look at a guy like what's the guy that moved to Florida? The guy younger from Niqua.
Colin Blazek.
Blasick. I mean, he goes from an unknown to playing in the Florida-Georgia game, balling out. I believe at one point he led Florida in receiving yards or something crazy like that. I look at the guy that said that just won the national championship in North Central College. What's his name?
Brock Rudder.
Brock Rudder. And I just say, man, here are these. We've seen there's 3 great quarterbacks coming out of Niqua, but people don't really get to see it because they run the ball too much. So, coach at Niqua, throw the ball a little bit. Let some of these boys shine, man. Put that ball in the air. So, anyway, I'm gonna throw a little jab at Niqua for that one, but great program, great school. So it's all love. I just look and see what's going on. But let's fast forward to what's really exciting, where all the stuff from the introduction comes. So you get to South Dakota State. They bring only one quarterback. What was their quarterback situation like in general when you got there?
They brought in technically 2. There was another freshman that came in with me, Rudy, and then the guys that were there. There was 4 guys there, and there was a senior, a sophomore, a redshirt sophomore, and a redshirt freshman. And then usually, like right when I got there, and then they found out that the season was canceled. One of them, the senior, ended up quitting, and then it was just left with 5 guys left. So came in there, and then there's already 2 guys that were starting the year prior because with injuries and stuff, they flipped halfway through the year. But that was the situation going in.
So you get down there, and you didn't early enroll, right? You just went there in the so you go to summer school or did you go fall? How did that work?
I mean, I was supposed to come in June, but then with all COVID and stuff, they kept pushing it. Yeah, they kept pushing it back because we didn't know if we were going to have a season or not. So eventually came when fall camp started in August 5th or something like that. So
what do they allow you guys to do since you guys put your season into the spring? What do they allow you guys to do in the fall? Did you get to practice?
Yeah, we got to practice. It was basically like almost a spring season, almost like spring ball. We did it in the fall. So
did you guys catch a couple spring games or no?
Yeah, we played one spring game sometime in October, but I mean we were practicing like it was a spring ball. And it was kind of nice just to get like a bunch of reps and stuff under my belt before we actually went into a real season. So, but yeah, we were getting like 20 hours a weekend, doing film studies and lifting and then practicing like 3 days a week.
So, I mean, if you think about it, COVID kind of helped you because you got all those practices on the season, you get settled, do whatever. Do you think you could have won that starting job in 3 weeks of camp before the first game?
Personally, I don't think so. Just because like I didn't really know the playbook that well, and I didn't really know the guys, and I feel like you almost need like a whole like 3 months. Like that's why I got all that summertime just to meet the guys, start building trust and stuff like that. Because I mean that 3 weeks going in, I wouldn't have had enough time to really understand like the plays and understand the reads and understand like the speed of college football. So that really did help me. Canceling the season, really.
Yeah, it did. So it's like amazing. It's almost like you became an early enrollee now because now somebody who goes there in January gets to play the spring and get through it. So it kind of so hey, thanks COVID. Thanks COVID. That's the one positive came out of it. So how soon into that process do you think you became the starter or I don't know if they didn't name one till the season, but when it became kind of obvious to you that like I can do this, I can be the starter here?
Yeah, it was. We actually came back for a little bit in December. The school was out and stuff, and a lot of guys started getting some more reps with the ones during these captain practices. And a lot of the captains and the older guys started coming up to me and like, wow, like you're the guy. Like we want you to be our guy. And then even throughout like the start of I guess fall camp in the spring, the guys kept coming up to me, and then they kept telling me like, oh, I'm going up to coach and tell him like, I want you to be the guy. I want you to be the guy. So just hearing that from other guys and just starting to build trust with everyone like that. That was the time I really felt like, okay, like this is mine for the taking, really.
Mm-hmm. And that, I mean, that's an awesome situation. So you get there, you're awarded the job. Is it right before the first game you find out they toss you the ball, say get in there, pup, or how long? When was it when they actually awarded you the job?
It was a week before the first game.
Okay, so it's coming down to the wire.
Yeah, I mean, we always thought that it was going to be like a couple weeks before, just so we can start preparing instead of like splitting reps the entire time. But we didn't even announce it until we walked onto the field, and like I was on the field starting, so nobody knew who the starter was going to be game one, which is kind of cool.
It is kind of cool. Now, how are you? How is the quarterback room? Is it competitive? Is it more of a brotherhood? I mean, this is going to be aired a lot, so I'm not trying to get any fodder out there. But I mean, how has that been? They take you under their wing and say, "Hey, man, you're the role, but now we're going to kind of help you." Investors, it's still kind of competitive there.
I mean, it's always competitive. I mean, from the start. I mean, there's like it's just going to be a big battle throughout the entire fall and going into the spring, just because we didn't know who the starter was. Because I mean, there's 2 starters coming back from the year prior, and then I was coming in too. So, I mean, there's some guys. It was a different vibe throughout the entire group. Like different guys acted in different ways. But I mean, that first couple of weeks, it was a little awkward in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's big boy football, though, right? Big boy football comes with the territory, do whatever. So, yeah, you know, I watched your games, and you know, I think again another great thing about COVID is you guys were the only game in town. Like, you know, I watched more FCS football because it was the spring, and I'm like, this is completely awesome. I get to watch football all the time, and then you were playing, so I'm like, oh god, I got somebody who I can check out. Talk to me about how you felt going in that first game, and you're playing college football because you're who was your first game against? I watched
Northern Iowa.
Northern Iowa. Your first game, you're coming out there and you're like, it's my show. What's going through? Did you have to change your pants a couple times, or how did that work?
Yeah, I was shaking in the boots a little bit when I first went out there. More even just leading up, like just in practice sometimes, just thinking about it, like I'd start shaking a little bit and just have to kind of like relax. But we got a good mental strength coach, and he was really working with me all week and just kind of starting getting ready and building for that moment and really just being ready out there. But I mean, I thought that there's only like 3,000 at the game because of COVID and stuff, but I thought they were pumping in crowd noise. I was like, wow, this is loud in here. Like I couldn't even hear myself think sometimes. But as the game started going on, I started feeling more comfortable with everything and started making like more plays and stuff. So it was good.
Now, I mean, I have to say, I've seen you play as a youth. I've seen you play some 7-on-7. I've seen you play in high school. Some bitch beat us in high school, and that damn last play was a PI. I don't believe it was a PI, but they said it was a PI, and then we scored. Then you ran in there. So, but you are one of the only people that I've seen as a freshman. You look better in college against college talent than any other level I've seen you play. What do you think it is about the offense that let you free to loose? I think you ran in high school. I think you run better. Like you were more of a bulldozer, I thought, in high school. Yeah. Like I see you juking guys now. I see you running down the field, showing a little speed. Never seen you throw the ball like that you throwing right now, or whatever. And this is, I hope this comes across as a compliment because I'm like, who the hell is this kid? Like I saw you play all the way since you were young. What do you think it is about your offense that's really let you shine and blossom? Or do you think it's just that you just finally developed into that kid?
Well, I think part of it is just developing into that. I feel like a lot of it was me working throughout COVID and a lot of other guys just not doing much throughout that entire part that we just like didn't have anything open or like I was always going to like the parks and stuff with some of the guys that I knew and just throwing with them and stuff and really kind of just developing my throwing game and stuff like that and really trying to build speed throughout the entire process. And but like with the playbook and all that, we really just helping with the quarterback coach kind of helping me with reads and stuff and really kind of just broadening the playbook for me and allowing me to take shots downfield because, I mean, they're really about just taking shots and making the big plays out there. So really just being able to do that and then also them implementing a run game for me. I mean, they didn't really do it as much in the beginning of the season, but as we progressed throughout the season, I started to run more and stuff. So it was really good. So just having that ability and the opportunity and just having guys around me that I can trust and make plays with is the big part about it.
And you know, it's one thing to go out there and perform well and play well, but from when I watched the games, I think I probably caught like 3 or 4 games, especially the playoffs. I felt like the team saw you as their leader. Is that interesting to lead men that are older than you, been there before you, they've kind of mentored you, but like you stood out as a leader on the field. Talk about how you take on that role, and at what point do you allow yourself to take on that role?
I mean, it was an interesting dynamic. I mean, just guys that, as you said, like they've been there before, they know what they're doing. And one of the older, like the linebacker or one of our captains, like really took me under his wing, kind of just like learning from him and like the leadership role on the team and stuff. And really just in that first game, really like guys started to look to me like, oh, what does he have to say when we come off the sidelines? Like what does he want us to do? And kind of just encouraging other people, trying to get like raise their level of game. Really started feeling that throughout like the beginning of the season and on, and really kind of just took that right away. I mean, because they were talking about years before, like they wouldn't have like as great of leadership. So that was something I really wanted to focus on, and made a big impact on the team this year, just based on how far we went and the leadership that we had.
Now, and it showed. It definitely showed as to see you out there. Now, let me ask you: were you guys projected to be as successful as you were?
No, I think we were projected. I think like 3rd or 5th in the conference.
Okay.
And we were preseason ranked 6th in the country, but yeah.
So at what point in the season do you think that the team started to believe, I think we can do this? I think that we're better than 6. I think we can win this whole thing. Was it after a couple of playoff wins, or do you think during the playoff season? We all say this. Every football team says national champs, right? We all say it.
Yeah.
You know, we all talk about it, but some people are like, yeah, national champs. All right, whatever. You know, but at what point do you think that you guys felt like you really had a chance to make this run?
I mean, we were having a good season throughout, but like we weren't really sure because I mean, there's North Dakota State, like the big powerhouse in North Dakota State, and that's our like big rivals. So we were kind of just waiting for that game, trying to just see like, is this team legit? Like, can we do this? And then once we beat them by a couple scores, everyone started to believe like, oh, this is our year to win it all. Like they're the guys that have won it in the past, and they're always the top team, and now we just knocked them off. Like this is our year to go and win.
That's where it switches. So, and that's great. I mean, anytime there's a run, there's always those times in the year where you have a close game or tough game, you overcome something, somebody steps up bigger than before, and it's good to hear that. That's the one you beat your rival. You're thinking, okay, you got to be the champs. You got to beat the champs, right? So now you get to the playoffs. Talk to me about the playoffs, and now you're playing a lot of football. I mean, high school you just played 9 games, and I think you guys got 2 playoff wins your senior year, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so how many games had you just play regular season this year for college?
We only actually played 6 because
it's shortened season. Canceled. Okay,
yeah, it's shortened to 8 games, and then our South Dakota game got canceled because they had COVID, and then Illinois State just dropped
they said
the season. Because they like right when we were about to play them, like they just dropped.
See you in the fall. Take care.
I was so excited to play them just because it was like the last Illinois school that we had to play.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to go and knock them off and just be like, hey, Illinois schools, you missed out.
State champ, yeah, for sure. And that's another thing I'd like to get into at the end of kind of, you know, that chip that comes back with this. But you guys are going through the playoffs. I see you guys are clicking them off. You're winning. How many you had to win 4 games to get a championship?
3 games, and then we got to the championship.
And got to the championship game. So you guys make it to the championship game. You're ready to go. What's that preparation like? I mean, you're thinking we're the only game in town. There's no FBS football. It's just us. I'm about to play for the damn championship. You know, I'm texting with your father, and I'm like, you're going to the damn FCS championship. And your dad's so proud of you. So it's great that just the exchange and how happy he is that's going on. But what's going through your mind? You're sleeping here thinking, you ever played for a high school state championship?
Right.
What's going on? How does your mind go for that?
Yeah, I mean, it was like the farthest I've ever gone in football, other than, I mean, some years when I was playing youth and stuff, but in high school, like it never got there. But it was kind of nice. Like school ended that week. So basically, like I felt like a professional at that point. Like all I'm doing is football. Like football is my job. So I was able to like prepare the entire week and really just invest all my time into football that week. And it was such a cool feeling just knowing like, oh, we're going to Texas. And we're about to play for a national championship, and just basically that adrenaline building all week, and finally, eventually getting to play that Sunday. Then
now going back to 7-on-7, do you feel like some of those moments, because you played against some guys who are studs in FCS, FBS, guys are doing whatever big names. Do you feel like that kind of mentally prepares you a little bit more when you get in some of these games? Like I've been on these big stages, I've seen studs, I'm not impressed, or is it, again, so much of a different sport that you're not quite thinking about that?
No, I actually think about that a decent amount. Just because like you always play these big name guys and all that stuff, but I feel like that's just a lot of crowd noise, and you don't really have to worry about that because I mean, once you get on the field, it's man on man. Like you just gotta beat your opponent really. But I also thought it helped a lot in like pressure situations because I mean, there's a lot of situations in 7-on-7 where you have to like score on the final drive and basically or like stop an offense at the end of the game. So that situations kind of resembles like football and just really getting used to that situation and stuff. So, and it really kind of showed throughout our season too, just how we were able to come back. I think we had like 3 fourth quarter comeback victories throughout the season. So
that's
it was
fantastic. Good. All right, so now it's championship time. You put all this preparation in. You've had this amazing run, amazing season. You come out early in the game, and it happens. Talk to me about the injury.
It was on the field. I didn't really know what happened. I felt something happen with my knee, and then I ended up fumbling on that play just because of like the shock of what happened. But I thought I was going to be okay. Like I was like, oh, this is fine. And then we ended up calling another play, staying on the field, and we didn't convert the third down. But as I was walking off the field, I started feeling it a little bit more, and I was like, something ain't right. So I ended up going to the 10, and yeah.
And so, you know, so you're done. You're down for the game. You know that you're out. I mean, did you stay on the field or did you have to go back in the locker room?
I stay on the field. I mean, I tried actually like started running down and up and down the sidelines, like trying to throw a little bit.
Walk it off a little bit.
Yeah.
That's too bad. And you guys end up coming short in the game or whatever. I think you would have won if you played in the game personally because you guys had a close game there. But it's a great season, man, and it's still there. You know, how is the recovery coming for you right now with your knee?
The recovery's going great. I'm very like ahead in the process.
Perfect.
The doctors have been really saying like I've been doing so well with recovery and with PT really, and just starting to get that strength back and mobility back for my knee.
Fantastic. So, are you going to be ready for the upcoming season? Are you going to take some time to do it, or are you going to play it by ear?
This season, I'm going to be out this fall and be able to come back in the spring season. But I'm excited for this season because it's going to be like the first time like I'm not playing, which is weird to be excited about. But getting that like coaching opportunity and really kind of seeing it from a bunch of mental reps and really getting that coach's perspective on like why they see things and being able to get all that stuff in.
Fantastic. So you go through the championship, you got all these personal awards. Talk to me about the honor of getting the personal awards. Do you strive for those things? Do you just kind of wait and see what happens? Do you feel snubbed? I think there was one award that you finished second. Do you let yourself feel snubbed, or how does your mind go through that?
I mean, it's something that I like strive for, but not really think about too much. Like I try to just like on the field, just try to play my game and just see what comes out of it. But once that noise starts coming around, you start thinking about it a little bit more. But I won that Jerry Rice award that I got second, and I had a bunch of people texting me like, "Oh, it's a snub," like, "Oh, they made a mistake" and stuff like that. And I kind of use that as a little bit of motivation as well, kind of being like, "Oh, they didn't think they just another person that like didn't think I was good enough to like win that award or whatever." So I just kept on using that.
So I look at you and I see in motivations and snubs and different things like that. And I think kids should go through that, especially athletes, because it's tough to keep getting up and going out there and hitting people in the mouth and doing all kinds of stuff. You need something to kind of drive you, push you, positives or negatives. You know, you're at the FCS level. You win all these awards. I think the first reaction from most people are going to think is, that's a damn FBS quarterback. I mean, not the FCS is the worst because hell, the North Dakota State guy went drafted. So what's the big deal? Yeah. Do you find the tone in the FCS level or in your team, a lot of people thinking that, especially now that you can do free transfers, people thinking I want to get to FBS, or people thinking, hey, I'm at this level and I can go pro from here. It doesn't matter.
I mean, yeah, especially with like Carson Wentz and Trey Lance coming out of North Dakota State, and there's even some other guys from like you and I, and we haven't really had anyone in the past, but we have some guys now that might be able to get drafted next year. But I haven't really heard that many guys just trying to say like, oh, I want to go FBS now. Like, just because there is opportunity at the FCS level, and if you're playing, if you are a top team and get into that national championship game, like it doesn't matter. Like you can still get a chance to play in the league if you want.
That's fantastic. So let's talk about kind of how now that you've got a year under your belt, you've been involved in the college, you've been involved in the recruiting, you've been involved in the stuff. How do you feel in general about like the transfer portal? You think that's good for college football? You think it's going to be something that's going to be a backfire? I've got my own opinions, but I'd like to hear what you had to say.
I mean, I think it's a good idea in theory, but I mean, as you go, I mean, there's thousands of kids in the portal right now that have nowhere really to go, and it's almost kind of like a free agency for colleges and stuff. But I mean, I think it's a good idea in theory, but it's not. I feel like it's not really working out as well as they hoped, just because there's so many kids that just want to play football but just don't have a place to go. And I think COVID kind of screwed with that a little bit too, just because teams didn't really have that turnover with the seniors and everyone got to come back. So it's a little weird this year, but
I think it's one of those careful what you wish for things, because I always thought, you should be able to transfer. Why should you have to give up a year, blah, blah, blah. But now they open the door, say, all right, well, now that you don't have to give up a year, some of these schools are saying, hey, man, get in that portal, take care. And if you don't have any film, and they'll tell you get in the portal because you didn't play. If you didn't play at that school, nobody wants you at the other school, usually, unless you get lucky and somebody recruited you, really likes you, and then went downstream. So I think that portal is going to be tough on some people. What do you think about, we talked about the offers. What do you think about these early offers that kids get now? Some people 8th grade got 13 offers already, Power 5 offers. What do you think about them? You think it's BS? You think it's fair? You think it's what do you think?
I think it's kind of crazy, to be honest. I think it's more like the BS part, just because unless they're fully developed guys, and you can really see oh, this guy's already a stud on varsity. So if he's a freshman and he's killing it, I can understand that. But guys that aren't even playing at that level yet, kind of just hoping for potential, I think that's kind of crazy. I mean, but you can see from some people, at least I've talked to, is they're not really committable offers yet. They're kind of just show offers, really.
It's say I'm an old man, but I don't know about all these online dating, but it's like swiping right. It's I just swipe right. And that's all. They're just saying I like you or whatever. But it's I think it's a little interesting. In my day, you didn't get an offer till your senior year, the end of your senior year. So you went this whole time in high school. A couple of guys get offers early, but for the most guys, the bulk of you went through your senior season thinking, I hope somebody wants to give me an offer at the end of this thing, But now it's your freshman year, you already have 10 offers, and you're not done growing yet. You're not fast. You're still skinny, whatever. So it's kind of an interesting change, but.
Yeah, when you get now, once you get to your senior year, and if you don't have an offer by your senior season, you start feeling oh, I'm behind, I'm kind of screwed right now. And
you are actually,
you really are. I mean, and then there's nobody offers left really, and it's just really kind of just walk on offers and stuff like that. I mean, it's still opportunity, but it's just kind of oh crap, I kind of missed out. That's why I was really pushing for that summer before my senior year, trying to just get as much interest as I can from other schools and kind of be settled before I go into my senior year.
And smart, because we all know one play can take a knee, and then all of a sudden it's I could have been a contender. People start talking about what could have happened. So it's good to get out there. What do you think about this this new name, image, and likeness that's going to come out there? Do you think that's going to impact you guys at your level there? You think it's going to help the athletes in general, or what?
I mean, I don't really know too much about it. That's something that I really want to start getting interested in more and just start learning more about it. But I feel that is a good thing for college football, kind of, and because I mean, there's a bunch of other opportunities that other people can get, but just because we play sports, you can't do those things. And I think it's going to be good for just people's well-being and stuff. And even at the FCS level, I feel there's going to be definitely some guys that are going to be able to do that. Because I mean, at least in South Dakota State, I mean, it's we are the major sports team of the area and of South Dakota. So I feel in that setting, we could even use it ourselves too. So.
And I think it really helps the underserved, I don't want to use the word underprivileged, but there's guys on your team that are not on full scholarship, but they have partials, correct?
Right. Yeah.
And then there's going to be female sports that have even less. And I think there's a lot of people that have individual popularity, but they're in a school that doesn't allow full scholarships for what they're doing. And you can now go to the local car dealership or whatever, the sports place or the pizza place up the street. Somebody can throw some money in your pocket and that you really need. People look at this the name, image, and likeness, and they think about the studs that are going to get drafted and think they got enough already.
Right.
But the guys, you know, some of these guys in South Dakota said, man, look, I can use an extra couple grand to finish paying off this college. You know, where do I sign autographs at or whatever? So I think it's going to be a fantastic thing. And it's going to help a lot of people that people don't target right now. So what do you think about the playoff expansion? Does that sound exciting for you in the FBS level?
Personally, I really like, because I mean, that's one of the reasons I went FCS, just because at the FBS level, it's like there's only 4 teams. Like, you know which 4 teams are going to be in it every single year.
You know, at least 3 of them, yeah.
Yeah, right. At least 3 of them every year. But now, like, other schools have opportunities, so it kind of helps them in the recruiting process as well. It's not like, oh, like, we're not going to make it to a championship, but like, oh, we can win like a bowl. But now teams going to be like, oh, we win our conference, we're going to get a shot. Like, if we have a good season, we're going to get a shot at playing for a national championship and playing these big schools. So I feel like it's going to help for recruiting, even the playing field out a little bit more. And I just really like how the process of playoffs, I mean, every sport has it. College football is like one of the few that has just such a minimal playoff setting. So I really like the idea of the expansion.
I think they finally had to get their heads out their butts and realize that, listen, there's only a few teams it impacts, right? The teams in the playoffs. They try to say too many games. They try to say water down the bowl game. The bowl games are already watered down. I think now with the fact that they have 4 games you can play and still redshirt, I think the bowl game is going to almost be like the futures game. You start, because all these guys, if they don't make the playoffs, are going to opt out, the NFL guys anyway. So let your young guys get a game in there so we can see what the future looks like. I think that'll be kind of the great thing there. So what's the future for your season this year? Do you guys think that your team's going to bounce back? You guys going to make it back to the championship? It's going to be a rebuilding year. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's all the guys coming back. We lost one senior, Preston Tetzloff, who's a linebacker for us, and he was the captain. But other than that, I mean, we got everyone coming back, and then now we just got to figure out the quarterback situation. But I haven't met the new transfer that came in. But I'm excited to watch them battle it out. And I've heard a lot of things just about how both of them are progressing right now throughout the summer.
Where did the transfer come from?
He played at USF and then transferred to Samford and then now transferred to SDSU.
He's got to make the right decision for him. Got to figure it out. So sometimes you get some different transfers. I don't know. At FCS you can play right away. Oh, I guess FBS you can now too. So
yeah. So with the transfer portal now you can just play right away.
Okay. Well, you know, this has been a great show. I really appreciate you coming out here. I think that you gave a lot of good information for young people. Hey, before I go, what kind of advice would you give kind of to a young quarterback right now who's going into senior year or going into summer? You know, we have the summer right now. COVID restrictions are coming up. He doesn't have any offers, and maybe he's, you know, wondering how to get there and how to get noticed. What would you give advice to him?
First thing I would say to them is just something that a lot of older people reiterated to me is just enjoy every single moment, just because how fast it flies by, and really just enjoy the process, enjoy the recruiting process. As much as like I didn't really like it, I kind of missed it once it was like done, because it was like I kind of like that entire thing. But really just enjoy every single moment you have and really cherish it and really kind of understand like, oh, like this is happening right now. But then also kind of just like not giving up really, and just like trust in yourself. And no matter where you play, I mean, you can go play Division I, Division II, Division III, and if you ball out, you can go to the next level. I mean, we had a bunch of guys that have played on our team that have played D2, and they balled out there, and then they're able to come up to our like the FCS level. So, I mean,
and I think that is the good part about that portal is like, hey, now you can move up in the world and do whatever. I think you're gonna see in colleges they're gonna start signing smaller freshman classes, and they're gonna get a lot more guys that come in through the portal. And people coming up level. So a lot of guys that maybe are projects today that FBS teams say, hey, you know, you got the measurables, but you haven't showed it on the field. They're going to say, all right, go FCS or go D2 and show it on the field, and we'll come get you once you figure out the kind of player you are. So anyway, it's been a great show. You helped me come back out and stretch my legs. It's been a while. I appreciate you coming on. Take care of that leg. I can't wait to see you out there in a year. And I can't wait for them to say, with the 13th pick of the first round, Mark Gronowski. I don't want to put you that low. I'm sorry. I'll keep you back to pick, whatever. But thanks. Say hi to your parents for me, man. I appreciate you. All right.
I will. Thanks for having me on the show.
All right. Bye.